on the fresh grads. You have to change their mindset. Once you get graduated, next year you don't have to wait for 5 years for the government to give you a job. Go get some kind of attend workshops, attend courses, and see how can you start your own business. Go to the social funds for development. They have so many ready projects with feasibility studies and everything ready. Choose whatever you think you can do, and they will help you with studies, will help you with fund, will help you with support, with IT, with everything. But the problem is you have to have the willingness that you don't want to wait in line to be hired by the government. You have to take the risk to be a business owner. However, this is not going to come by its own for fresh grads. The government has to approach them and have to change the mindset to become business owners.
But changing the mindset takes a long time.
Not necessarily with fresh grads now. I don't think it will take much time, because most of the youth now, or the fresh guys now, with the social media and what's going on in the world, IT wise and so on, and communication wise, I don't think any of them would like to wait for a few years to have a job. However, they just need someone to show them the way. I think if you have more than 700,000 fresh grads every year, if the government approach the universities, I think you get at least 40 to 50% out of them. They will change their mindset and they will accept to take the risk and have a business and be a business owner.
What about apprenticeship and training? Is that available?
Of course, it is available. The social funds for development, they do training for fresh grads. A lot of governmental institutions, even though private institutions can provide SMEs training for fresh grads. You just have to have the willingness that you really want to do that. You have to believe in this.
We always hear that SMEs are the backbone of the economy. They are the engines of growth.
Yes.
Why?
Because of the population that are working on the SMEs, it's much exceeding the corporate number of employees working in the corporate companies. Because in Egypt, I believe not not less than 80% are considered SMEs. Take in mind that there is no definition yet. However, if I deploy the international definitions and the international factors, I will believe at least 80% would be SMEs.
What cooperation is there between the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the World Association for SMEs?
We have approached them a few months ago. This is one thing I'll tell you, I didn't say it in my lecture, which is a good news. Last year in September, we had a board meeting at S.A.E. in India, World Association for SMEs. They do one annual congress. It's called Annual Congress for S.A.E. every year, usually attended by about 2,000 to 2,500 international attendees. And I can tell you, like, for example, 3 years ago in South Africa, President Nelson has opened the conference. So that's how big it is. It
sends a message of the importance
yes,
of SMEs.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was supposed to be 2015 in Ethiopia, and I stood in the board and I collaborated with so many of the board members, and we changed it from Ethiopia to Egypt in 2015, September 2015. This is believing from WASMI that SMEs in Egypt is the gate for the whole region. So the good news is it's official. September, I believe 18th, 19th, and the 20th will be the World Association Congress in Egypt. We have approached the Ministry of Trade and other government institutions as well, and we're just getting the approvals, the final approvals, over the next few weeks.
Are there lessons to be learned from other countries that have had success in this field?
Yes. I really would love to take South Africa as an example. South Africa is a company who changed the mindset of their population to stop hiring. The government stopped hiring fresh grads, and they told them, if you want to have income, you have to have your own business. The government will support you, and I can tell you, you can imagine how many incubators the government has opened for fresh grads. I have seen it with my own eyes. It's amazing the kind of support the government and the private sector invest in SMEs incubators in South Africa.
Do we in Egypt have an entrepreneurial culture?
Yes, we do. We have a lot of civil organizations. They provide funds for SMEs. However, there's no collaboration with the government. That's the issue. That's the missing part. The government has to collaborate with these civil associations. Uh, for example, Alexandria Businessmen Association. They have millions. They have hundreds of thousands of Egyptians for funding. But as long as we don't have the godfather for the SMEs, as far as financial institution, I mean governmental institution is concerned, uh, everyone will work on its own inclination. So we have to have a godfather from the government, certain institution, governmental institution. This institution will collaborate with the rest of the angel fund, angel investors, and so on. I think this way will work.
What role can media play to promote SMEs?
Media, of course, can help in promotion and marketing SMEs funding and finance. Not only funding and finance, but SMEs activities and SMEs role models. It's very important that media can show, can market, and can promote SMEs role models. I would really appreciate it if one of the media TV stations would take a fresh grad who has succeeded as a businessman in a few years, and he will take him as a role model. Hey, this man was a fresh grad 5 years ago. Now he's making 5 millions.
So share the success
Yes,
stories,
of course.
because success is contagious.
Of course. This is a positive way that you can promote SMEs.
Dr. Nageti, just to sum up now, your message to government first?
My message to government is you must, if you want SMEs to help in the Egyptian economy, you must assign or create a new government institution only to focus on SMEs. Whatever is a committee, whatever is a ministry, but it has to be only focused on SMEs. SMEs is a very big issue. You cannot just stick it to any of the ministry just to have a say that, hey, I have a ministry for SMEs. But that's not right. I feel
Is the political will there?
Yes, and I feel bad for the minister. He's handling 3 ministries. He's handling 3 ministries. It's too much for anyone to handle. And history will not remember for him that he was handling 3 ministries. Will only remember failure, for God bid. Okay?
Your message to the business owners?
Get your work done right before you apply for finance and for funding. Finish your due diligence, finish your feasibility study. See what you really are looking for, what you really can succeed on, not what your neighbors and your friends have succeeded in, so you can imitate them. And only then go for the funding. Funding is available. Keep it as the last resort, but you have to do your homework first.
Finally, Dr. Nageti, we have the economic summit coming up in March. Are the investments likely to go to the bigger companies, do you think?
Some investors, it depends on the ticket. Some investors, they only invest minimum $100 million per project, and some investors are specialized only for SMEs, and some for microfinance.
So you think SMEs will get a share?
Of course, absolutely. And that's what the government has said already. They announced that Summit will have a session for SMEs. That's why I'm trying to get hold of the government to send an official invitation to the president of World Association for SMEs. It will be very important for him to have a word during the summit. It will reflect the positive message that Egypt is focused on SMEs. Egypt will collaborate with the World Association, and so on.
Dr. Khalid Nageti, Vice President of the World Association for SMEs, thank you, sir, for giving us time to talk to us here on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to have you with us.